Fleetwood Town, big away day, hard place to get a result, mainly because they're splashing more cash on players these days than Wayne Rooney's spending on grannies. Went into Lloyd's for a pint and some breakfast before getting a taxi to the George and jumping on the coach to Fleetwood. We weren't allowed to take our beer onto the coach because according to the driver there was going to be a massive police presence in Fleetwood because they just drew Blackpool in the FA Cup or something. Around 40 minutes later we entered the beautiful town of Fleetwood and admired some of its wonderful sights. When we got off the coach we looked around for the supposed massive police presence in Fleetwood but couldn't see any. We then walked to the ground to buy tickets for the away end because for some reason we weren't allowed to pay at the turnstiles. Whilst in the queue we immediately realised why Fleetwood's nickname is Cod Army. The whole place stank of fish. It was disgusting. Although that was probably partly due to the fish we found dumped on the floor. We wondered how long it had been there and got our answer when we saw dried up stick a few metres away. Looks like we weren't the first away fans to suffer from the fishy stench. After we got our tickets we soon realised that there is absolutely nothing to do in Fleetwood, so we bought some beer from an off-licence and stood outside a chippy. We still couldn't see any of the supposed massive police presence in Fleetwood, but we did notice 3 stewards watching us from a distance, after which we got talking to this sound Fleetwood fan, who told us he had nothing against Southport because we're a northern team. Fair play. However, things were starting to get tense. There was still no sign of any police, but a 4th steward had turned up to preserve the peace. Even some of the local residents were getting nervous. Went into the ground trying to take our minds off the fishy smell in the area, only to see that their mascot was a giant cod. The game started and they were all over us. For about 30 seconds. After that the game was quite even until we won a free kick on the edge of the box and Tony Gray scored the greatest header the world has ever seen. It was an absolute peach. Mellon was gutted. 1-0, get in. We managed to hold on to our lead for an impressive 5 minutes before one of their players performed an Oscar-winning dive to get his team a penalty. It was never a foul. Their fans knew it wasn't a foul and even the referee knew it wasn't a foul but felt the dive was so good it couldn't go unrewarded. They scored the penalty. Half-time came. 1-1. Could be worse. Second half started and we were all over them. John Paul Kissick would have ripped them. But he couldn't. So Sean Morley did instead and chipped the ball into the box, and then Tony Gray smashed it into the back of the net and gave us the lead. 2-1 up. Get in. Things got even better a few minutes later when one of their players received a second yellow card for attempted murder. Despite going down to 10 men, Fleetwood started to dominate. It was one of those games where you'd have taken a draw at the start, but now we were winning, we'd be really disappointed not to take all 3 points home. So when they equalised with 2 minutes to go, we were all gutted. Full time. Drew 2-2. Even though we were gutted, it's still a decent result. Got back onto the coach feeling quite dejected not to have held on for the win, but then some people decided to literally attack a member of the back row before getting stuck upside down for 10 minutes, which was rather amusing. We then eventually rolled back into Southport and went home. On reflection, this away day was a good laugh, and even though we were gutted at the end, we're still having an unbelievable season and got a better result here than we did last season. Drew 2-2. Not the win we were so close to getting, but it's okay because we're staying up. Oh, and if you're ever warned of a huge police presence in Fleetwood, don't worry, it's just a few stewards doing some litter picking. Yellows.